So compounding, what is it and why is it so important and why does everybody always talk about it? Basically, every time you hear someone say, focus on the long term, this is pretty much the primary reason that you'll hear people like us, financial advisors say, you need to pay attention to the long term. View it this way. You have a principal balance, so what principal means is the money that you're putting away, whether you're saving and investing, and then you have interest that you earn, whether it's as simple as like a CD or you're in the stock market and in the S&P 500. All that interest that you earn, that continues to, not to use the word in the definition, compound. It continues to build upon itself. So basically, if you toss in $1,000, for nice round numbers, you make 10% at the end of the year. Now you've got $1,100. The compounding piece is what goes on top of that. So it's, you made that interest that year, $100. 10% is phenomenal. But then next year, you started with $1,100 and you're going to earn money off of that. So instead of earning another $100, let's say you get another 10%, you earn another $110. So right out of the gate, compounding, you'll probably sit there and say, okay, I made 10%, but it's not that much. Your savings rate is going to definitely outperform your compounding for a little while. But compounding over time, hence why people say you're in it for the long term, that's where it really starts to take off. I find that so many people, it's easy to talk about and listen to, but unless you get a chart in front of somebody, it's kind of hard to really pull in the information that we're trying to explain. So I've got 3 really awesome charts to show you guys that does a little bit better job of explaining what compounding is and what it looks like when you do stick around for the longer term. So check out this first chart. This first one is just a comparison of the compound interest on your money over the course of 15 years versus just your savings rate. So if you saved over 15 years, $5,000 a year, that line on the bottom represents just the savings rate of $5,000 a year over 15 years. So we're talking about 75 grand, right? So we're saving 75 grand. But let's say we invest that money in the stock market. So over the last 15 years, the S&P 500, if that's the route we go, that's averaged a little bit better than 8%, but we'll use 8% for this example. So if you compounded your money over the next 15 years, so each year you're still putting that $5,000 inside of your account and you earned 8%, what would have been $75,000 if you just, took the cash out of your account and tucked it under the mattress, it turns into over $145,000, $146,621. There is a reason that Albert Einstein back in the day said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He also said, I got the quote right here, he who understands it earns it. And then there was another little piece to it too where he said he who doesn't understand it pays it. That's the credit card side. That is a conversation for a totally different video. But so that's a really great chart just to kind of give you an idea, okay, if I invest my money versus save my money, what does this compounding thing actually do for me? The next chart goes a little bit further. So the next one is more about the compound interest and its effect over time. So how much time are you able to save your money? So you'll see 2 comparisons, and I think this one is always really cool. So you've got 2 people, they're saving the exact same amount of money. They're each saving $100,000, and they're each growing at 8% every year. But the big difference is person 1 is only saving their money for 10 years, whereas person 2 is going to let their money compound over 20 years. This is where it kind of gets a little bit crazy. After 10 years at 8%, person 1 has about $156,000. At 20 years, and keep in mind, this person saved the same amount of money, so $5,000 a year still comes up to $100,000 totally saved, but because they spent more time in the market, and they spent more time investing, they have over $247,000. That's almost a $100,000 difference for just spending more time saving. So that really comes down to why we talk about investing for the long term. There's the other quote that I always like to say, which is either, there's never a bad time to start saving, but start saving now. Essentially, the sooner you can start saving, the more you're going to have time on your side, so you can really harness the power of this compounding thing. I've got one more chart that I want to share with you guys too, so let's take a peek at that one. The last one is comparing rates of return. And this is kind of more for the investor that's considering, should I be risky? Maybe I'm a little too nervous, maybe I should be more conservative. Obviously, there's a whole nother conversation in there that has to do with, an individual's risk. We're not going to go down that road right now. But just comparing those two returns, so if we stick with that 8%, which is that white line, or we say, no, we're going to be more conservative and we get 4% return over that 15-year period. So instead of that, if you remember that original chart we talked about where we're getting $146,000 saving that money over 15 years, if we save the same amount of money but we only earned 4%, we just cut our money by over $40,000 purely because we had smaller interest, a little bit less interest that's compounding on an annual basis. So you can see here, the more risk, the more reward, but it also has to be something you're comfortable with. But this just kind of paints another picture for you guys that says, wow, the better my returns, the better my overall picture is going to be at the end of my investing timeline. So you add those two things together, you add time and you add rate. That's going to be where the time value money really, and that compounding really works best for you. And then obviously savings is going to be the other thing. The more you can tuck away, the earlier, the better, because we really want to take advantage of that compounding, that effect that adding your money and building upon your assets over time really has. So hopefully those three charts give you a better picture of what compounding is. Hopefully I did a good job explaining it so you have a better understanding. And we'll keep having these videos explaining the little ins and outs of investing and personal finance. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys again real soon.